I'm with Dave Miller, head coach of the Kettering Fairmont Firebirds football team. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Trotwood. What was your overall message to the team after a game which basically nothing went right?
Now, basically that. It was not a good night for the Firebirds. Biggest thing is we talked about it, really that night and Saturday and Monday. We didn't play Fairmont football at all. People ask what were the keys to the game. We have to control the clock. We didn't do that. The time of possession was a little deceiving. I think we still ended up on top there, but it wasn't anything we did on offense for sure. We gave up big plays. I think we gave up 3 in one game, and I don't think all last year and probably the year before, maybe the year before that, we gave up 3 in a season. So it kind of snowballed. We struggled early, and and they're good. I said it going in. The quarterback's going to Indiana. They've got guys that have played 3 years. And we saw them in 8th grade, and I knew they were going to be good when they were older. So it was a very mature football team that I think at the end of the season you're going to see them compete for a title in Division III. So no really shame in losing to a team like that. It's the way we did it, and I think the disappointing part of it was we didn't play our style of football. So.
What surprised you about Trotwood's performance? Was it their team speed, especially from the wide out position?
Wasn't surprising. Like I said, I think we pride ourselves on being able to defend that, and we didn't do the fundamental things on defense to not give up those big plays. We face that kind of talent all the time. So it's not like. This year we maybe haven't seen it, although our scrimmage against Middletown, we saw it there, and to some degree, Lebanon and Alter had some too, So they're very talented, and they exploited us for sure. They had a good game plan coming in, and we didn't really adapt very well to it. But I wouldn't say I was surprised. I looked at them in warm-ups, and they didn't have their pads on, and you could tell that was a very well-built football team, and we were going to have our hands full. So.
All right. Again, pass rush seemed to be lacking, and what can you take from the film?
They're pretty good up front. They had a lot of guys going both ways. I was kind of disappointed. I thought we could fare better because we typically don't. We have a handful of guys that do, and they're not doing it the whole game. But, we got to get better on that. Obviously, we have to be able to get some pressure on the quarterback. I think that will gradually get better. We've shown times where we've done that. Against Alter, we had some pressure, but we have to get better at that. Again, we saw a veteran offensive line that is good. And you got a quarterback that's elusive. So that combination sometimes can be a problem. And I think the other thing is we had guys kind of making up their own stuff, and I'm not sure why that is. We had a good talk about that earlier, yesterday and everything, and they got to trust us, as coaches, to put them in the right situation and kind of make us wrong. Okay,
on the positive front, what was the key to Doty's 82-yard kick return touchdown?
Well, we executed. His little brother was right there throwing some blocks for him. The one that sprung him, Logan, as a freshman, had a pretty nice block. So, and some other guys, and we blocked it up pretty well. And Stevie's fast, So. That was probably one of our few, for sure. But that, and they lost their composure a little bit. Two offsides penalties. We're able to go for 2. We're up 8-7. So I felt decent about it where we were up until the point where they got more than 3 scores ahead of us, and then it becomes a problem. But is what it is. Moving on.
That's right. And we're done with Trotwood. Now we're going to talk about who's coming up next, LaSalle. As for this week's opponent, looking at their shootout last week against Northmont, their quarterback, Patrick McLauighlin, threw for almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. What are your impressions of him?
Really good. I saw it when he was a sophomore. We started looking at film on him. JV games at that time, and I could tell he's a head coach's son. He lives in the guy's house, and he's going to get coached up and from a guy that knows what it looks like. So they're really good. It's like our schedule; it doesn't get any easier. But We got to go down there. It's really, I think for us, it's a good thing. I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but the challenge. If our guys will rise to the challenge, then that's what it's all about. We have to get better. They know that. What we've been playing against the last 4 weeks really has exposed us, and hopefully we were able to fix some things. But that's going to be a very tough environment, and to go down there and try to get a win, that would be really tough to do.
Okay, and the last question. What was your impression of their defensive line? McLauighlin threw 38 times and was sacked only twice.
Well, they're very good up front again, so we're going to have to get better in all phases. I mean, their defenses last year was a slugfest up here. We ended up winning, fortunately, 10-3, but they make you earn everything, So, defensively, offensively, they do a good job there too, protecting him, and that has not been our strong suit yet, But I know our coaches and kids are going to work really hard to fix the mistakes that they made, and we're going to move on.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for taking the time again to speak with me, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm with Pat McLauighlin. He's the head varsity football coach for the LaSalle Lancers.
Yes, sir.
And we're down here in Cincinnati, and just want to ask you a little bit about your team.
Good. Sounds good.
Okay. First of all, your team loses a shootout to Northmount. How hard is it to get them to forget that game and this week get ready for Fairmont?
It's not that difficult. It's a one-day process for us. Come in on Saturday, go over the game, correct some of the mistakes, even at practice, short practice on Saturday. And if you don't get over it very quick and you play, turn around with a team like Northmont, it'll be bad. So we move on. We did some really good things in that game, some things we got to correct. Hopefully we'll do that. And then the other thing too is you can't have two more different contrasting styles than what we saw last week and we're going to see this week. So we have to move on as staff, move on with our kids, and I think we've done that.
Specifically in that game, how about your son's performance as quarterback? Almost 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's getting better. Last year he just wasn't quite ready to play yet. Physically, he's grown a little bit. He's very, very smart. I think we threw the ball to like 7 or 8 different receivers. We've completed touchdown passes to, I think, 5 or 6 different receivers. So he's doing a good job. He's even got some things he can improve on. There was a couple plays in that game, especially in the run game, where he could have hit those, and a couple scrambles where he could have hit those. But he's got to keep getting better. He's a leader. He's a hard worker. And so as long as he keeps improving, and the biggest thing is he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't turn the ball over, and that makes a big difference.
Okay, a little more about him. How big of an influence were you on his football desires? And was he focused on quarterback from the start?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. So I used to coach quarterbacks, do like quarterback lessons, with 7th and 8th graders and young kids, and he was at all those lessons. So, did I force quarterback on him? No, not necessarily, but it's kind of something that he's learned. And obviously, me being the head coach, him playing quarterback, I hate that there's a lot of pressure, because pressure is a good thing, but different level of expectations. But I never push football on him. It's something that he loves to do. It's something that he works very, very hard at, not only at practice but outside of practice too. He's worked hard for a long time, and again, he keeps getting better and better. He's very smart. He studies the film. He understands what we're trying to do. He has, I would say, very good control of the offense. The players on the team respect him. All those things that you would think that come with being a quarterback. I don't know if I had a lot of effect on him, but my wife did for sure. She's probably a better athlete than I am. So, it's been good. It's been fun.
Back to the Northmont game. There are only points in the second half for a fumble return for a touchdown. What changed on your defense?
That's a good question. We didn't really change a whole bunch at halftime. There wasn't a lot of yelling and screaming. Kids did their job, quite honestly, in the second half. And if you look at the first half, I told the team yesterday in our team meeting, I thought we played 3.5 really good quarters of football. I'm not saying consecutive, but offense in the first half, defense in the second half, and collectively 3.5 good quarters. And when you go back and look at the Northmont game, there's 3 big plays. You go up a 97-yarder, you go up a 70-yarder, you have, I think, a 45 or 50-yarder. 330 yards passing he had, probably 230, 250 of it came on 3 plays. You take those away, and I think our defense played pretty well overall.
Offensively, Reynolds and Welter at wideout position had big games. What type of receivers are they?
Well, Max Welter, I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be a football player because he's 6'5" right now. He's probably growing and probably going to be 6'9", but he's a big, long, athletic kid. He's got good hands, a huge catch radius. He caught a touchdown against Coleraine, so he's a really big, long, athletic kid. And then Reynolds is just a smart player. He could play anywhere on offense. He could play quarterback. He could play offensive line. He could play anywhere on defense. He's probably one of the smartest players overall that I've ever been around. And so we move him around. We move him outside of receiver. He's inside receiver. He's going in motion. We even have a package where he's under center. And so he's a very, very smart guy. He's got good hands. He has a knack for getting open and finding those spots.
Cohen Kreider at running back, how is he able to take the pressure off the passing game?
Well, one of the best things we've done this year as opposed to last year is I think we're pretty balanced. I think we probably threw the ball a little bit more than we wanted to last game, but overall in the first two games we're pretty balanced. And I don't really get into exactly how many carries versus how many passes that we have, but to have Cohen back there and then Isaac Goldschmidt's coming back this week, Bird, Ty Brown got hurt, 4 good running backs, and Patrick can run a little bit. And our offensive line, a lot of credit goes to them, but if we're able to run the ball first, and then that opens up some of the passing lanes. But the thing about Cohen is he's a great kid. He's a hard worker. He runs really, really hard. He's even banged up a little bit, but he just shows up and plays hard every game.
Okay, and final question for you. Last year, you lost a defensive game to Fairmont. From 2 games this year, both teams seem to be much different. After facing Kortner, how do you, in your game, plan differently for the rush-only team without Drew Baker?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But I think the quarterback is named Baker too, right?
Yes.
So I think old Drew might be on the staff if I saw that correctly. But Drew was a great player. Quite honestly, I don't know how he got up sometimes on Saturday mornings with all the carries he had. But as we said earlier, and as you pointed out, 2 very different styles. So it's going to have to change our defensive game plan a little bit, and we find out what kind of football players we have in terms of they better buckle up, put their chin straps in. I told the team yesterday, went back and watched some games last year. It doesn't matter what the situation is in the game. You know what Fairmont's going to do. They do it very well. They have a good overall team philosophy, meaning on offense they're going to run the ball, eat the clock up. They threw the ball twice in the first game, twice in the second game, and then defensively they don't give up any big plays. They keep everything in front, kind of slow the game down. He's done a really good job with that. So it's going to take a lot of execution on offense, doing our job on offense and defense, and really stopping their running game.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today, and good luck on Friday night.
Thank you very much. We'll see you on Friday night.